What's up, movie crew? Welcome to a collection video. Before I get started, if you are new to this channel, my name is Luke, this is Let's Watch a Movie, and if you're anything cinema and physical media related, you've come to the right place, so hit that subscribe button. This week, James Gunn releases the newest Superman movie and the official kickstart of the new DC shared universe, the DCU. So I thought this would be a good time to show off my complete Superman collection. Couple things before I get started. One, while I do have them, I could not find my copies of Superman Brainiac Attacks, nor could I find my copy of Superman Shazam. I do own them, but for whatever reason, I cannot find them on my shelf, so they are probably in a storage container somewhere. Two, I do not have everything. I am not as big into Superman as I am Batman. Hence the reason I'm wearing a Suicide Squad t-shirt and not a Superman or Justice League t-shirt. Here's how we're going to divide this video up. We got the intro right now. First up will be the live action movies. Then we're going to do the animated movies. We'll wrap it up with the television shows. And the TV will be both live action and animated. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, first up we have the live action movies. The first thing, we have the Superman anthology. This has the 4 movies with Christopher Reeve, Superman Returns with Brandon Routh, and the documentary Look Up in the Sky. On top of all of those, it has both the original and the extended cut of Superman the movie, and it has the theatrical cut and the Donner cut of Superman 2. And this also has the pilot for the George Reeve TV series, that being Superman and the Mole Men. So this features quite a bit of stuff. And yes, this is the UK release. When FYE was still open in my area, this was $9.99 because they didn't think it was region free, and it is. I recently showed this off in a haul video. Superman the movie on 4K. Back in the day when cable was first becoming more of a thing, we got extended cuts of movies, we had special 2-night versions of movies, and one of those being Superman the movie. This is Superman the movie, the TV cut. The TV version is 3 hours long. It was originally split over the course of 2 nights. And it also has the special edition of Superman the movie. Then we had what was initially meant to be the start of one shared universe that we don't have anymore. Let it be what it is before anyone starts complaining. I personally am looking forward to the James Gunn movie, so chill in this next portion. We got Man of Steel. Directed by Zach Snyder, produced by Christopher Nolan, and starring Henry Cavill. I honestly didn't think this movie was that bad. And I know this is a very divisive movie. There's a lot of people that say it's not as good as the Christopher Reeve movies, or it's the best Superman movie ever and Zack Snyder got robbed. I'm somewhere in the middle on that. Is it a good movie? Yeah. Did Henry Cavill do his thing? Also, yes. Alright, during this time frame, comic book movies were really, really big, and I went a little overboard So we've also got the Steelbook. This has some bonus features that are not on this version. So I grabbed it. And we've also got the Target Digibook. This was the Walmart Steelbook. Target did the Digibook. And just like the Steelbook, this has bonus features that are exclusive to this set. Then we get Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. This is the 4K release that has the extended cut of the movie. We've got the Target Digibook once again. I just thought this was a cool looking Digibook. I think it was Best Buy that released this one. So, one side you got Batman. On the other side you got Superman. Then we get to one of my favorite Steelbooks in my movie collection. That being the Mondo Steelbook. There's the front. And there's the back. With the 4K release, there were some issues, and Warner Brothers was able to get the okay to put out a restored version of the Ultimate Cut of Batman v Superman. I believe this is the IMAX version, because I think there were some issues on getting the IMAX version out. And like I said, originally my plan was to get every version because I wanted to show my support for the DCEU. And then they started dropping movies that sucked. So that is why there's so many copies of Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. Also, do want to show off one other thing. Me personally, I like film scores, and I did get the deluxe edition of the Man of Steel film score done by Hans Zimmer. And this has a second disc that has some extra tracks on it that's not on the original version. And I'm going to give a hot take here. I prefer this soundtrack over the Superman the movie soundtrack. And yes, I know John Williams is a legend. Hans Zimmer is my favorite film score composer. Therefore, I will listen to this over Superman the movie soundtrack. That one, if anyone wants to say anything in the comments, y'all are welcome to. And we are going to wrap this up with not one, but two documentaries. Around the time that Man of Steel came out, DC released Necessary Evil, the villains in the comics. Now, this was around the time they were doing the Necessary Evil storyline in the actual comic books. But they do put a huge emphasis on Lex Luthor in here. Darkseid is mentioned. Since both of them are Superman villains, I thought I'd go on ahead and show this one off. And this last one is not an official release, and unfortunately, I don't think it's available anymore since the director passed away a few years ago. And that is The Death of Superman Lives, What Happened? So, John Schnepp, rest in peace, did a documentary on how we almost got a Superman movie starring Nicolas Cage, directed by Tim Burton, written by Kevin Smith. And it was also going to feature Chris Rock as Jimmy Olsen. This was a very interesting documentary. It's very thorough. A lot of the special features in here are almost documentaries in their own right. Like, he could have probably spliced this up and made a mini-series. That is how much stuff is in here. Personally, I'm not sure how I would have felt about a Nicolas Cage Superman movie at that time, but most likely I would have probably seen it anyway. Just throwing that out there. Let me not. And this is the live action movies that I've got involving Superman. The next portion will be the animated movies. All right, we are now talking the animated movies involving Superman. Now, before I get started on this one, there is one that is Krypto-centric. The rest of them are strictly Superman. So if you're expecting the Justice League movies, or if you're expecting the Injustice movie, yes, I've got them, but we are trying to involve mainly Superman in this particular case. We've got the Batman Superman movie. All right. While recording Superman the Animated Series, they did a 3-part episode called World's Finest, where they brought back Kevin Conroy to reprise his role as Batman, where Batman and Superman have to take on Lex Luthor and the Joker. This personally, in just my opinion here, this has the best first ever meeting between Batman and Superman. Superman uses X-ray vision to see that Bruce Wayne is Batman, and Batman does his detective thing to find out that Superman is Clark Kent. Pretty good movie. The start of the DC Universe direct-to-video line are the DC Universe original animated movies. Superman Doomsday. Not a bad movie, but I completely get why they went back and did it again and made it a 2-parter. Superman, Batman, Public Enemies. This is based off of the Jeff Loeb, Tim Sale. I know Jeff Loeb was the main one in charge of it. But we've got Superman and Batman now teaming up reluctantly after Superman is now named an outlaw by President Lex Luthor. This sees Kevin Conroy and Tim Daly reuniting. Great movie. Sucks that it's only an hour long, though. It did well enough to where they did a sequel. At the time, most of the DC Universe animated movies were very standalone. They were either based off of ideas that didn't quite make the DCAU back in the day, or they were based off of well-known comics. So, Public Enemies did so well that they did a sequel. Apocalypse. This is the one where they introduced Supergirl. This one did have a different artist, so it does feature slightly different animation style compared to Public Enemies. Not a bad movie. Not as good as Public Enemies in my opinion. Kinda wish they would have kept going though, because I would have loved to have seen animated Emperor Joker. That's just me though. The next one, All-Star Superman. Kudos to the people involved in this one. All-Star Superman, if you've ever read the comic, is a 12-issue miniseries, and it's very episodic. So the fact that they were able to do a 12-episodic comic series and make it into an hour and 20 minutes, I believe? Yeah, close to it. Movie, they actually did pretty well with it. Gotta give credit where credit's due. Superman versus the Elite. This is where Superman has to take on a group where they're crossing lines and the people love it. And it makes Superman question whether he's doing the right thing. This one features George Newbern, the voice of Superman in Justice League, making his return. And Abby from NCIS is voicing Lois. All right, over here, the next one is Superman Unbound. However, I've got the French Steelbook where it was referred to as Superman Brainiac. This one features Matt Bomer voicing Superman. For those unfamiliar, he is the one who plays Negative Man in Doom Patrol. Little known fact, he was one of the people they were looking at to potentially play Superman at one point in time. I don't know if it was for Superman Returns or if it was for whatever plans they had before Man of Steel. But at one point in time, we almost had a Matt Bomer-led Superman movie. So we get him as Superman in this one. After the mixed reaction of Superman Doomsday, they did go back and redo it. I got Death of Superman. I am going to let everyone know now, I do not have the Reign of the Superman because I ended up getting Death and Return of Superman like right away, I think. So here is the Death of Superman. And then the Death and Return of Superman. I might need to actually get Reign of the Superman because I do think it's got special features that aren't available in here. Comment down below. Someone let me know if I'm right on that one. One of the most well-known Elseworld stories is Superman Red Sun. This is a story about what would have happened had Kal-El landed in Soviet Russia instead of Kansas. They do take some liberties on this one compared to the comic, so there's some stuff where it's kind of like, okay, what are y'all doing? But for the movie, it does kind of make sense in some of it. Superman, Man of Tomorrow. This was the beginning of the Tomorrowverse. He fights Parasite, Lobo's in here, and there's a couple other people in here. Me personally, I think this movie's kind of crowded, and I'm not a fan of the animation style. Don't know what else to say on that one. Batman and Superman Battle of the Super Sons. Basically, Batman and Superman are listed on here for marketing purposes. This is primarily a Superboy and Damian Wayne Robin-led story where Jonathan and Damian first meet each other and are having to be reluctant allies to take on Starro. Honestly, this is probably the best movie they did since the start of the Tomorrowverse. This is not a Tomorrowverse movie. This was one of their outside of the Tomorrowverse features. The animation is great. The voice acting is great. The story's great. I wish they would have made this their shared universe instead of the Tomorrowverse, because the Tomorrowverse sucks. And finally, in the animated movie section, as we all know from the trailers, Krypto is in the movie. So I thought I would also share Scooby-Doo and Krypto 2. In this one, the Justice League and the Scooby Gang go missing, so Scooby-Doo and Krypto have to team up to take on the masked villain of the week, as well as members of the Legion of Doom. And just so I don't almost drop everything like I did last time, that is my complete animated Superman movie collection. The next portion, we will be doing the TV shows, and in this case, the TV shows will be a mixture of both live action and animation. All right, we are now at the TV section of the Superman collection video. Alright, before I get started, again, just a reminder, this will be a combination of both live action and animation. And I do have an Arrowverse collection video. I will pin that in the comments down below. I do have all 6 seasons of Supergirl, but we are strictly talking Superman here. So, if you want to see what all I own from Supergirl, head to that video. One of the first known TV shows that we got was The Adventures of Superman with George Reeves. So this is season 1. It featured 26 episodes. And the first 2 seasons of Superman were in black and white. This was done in the 50s before we had color TV. So there's season 1. There is season 2. Also 26 episodes. Season 3 is when they started releasing the show in color. And because they started doing color at a time when color was an expensive thing to do, they did cut the episodes. So we went from being 26 episode seasons to only 13. So this one contains seasons 3 and 4 in the first color episodes. And then we've got the final 2 seasons, seasons 5 and 6. Unfortunately, around that time, that is when George Reeves passed away. I don't know if there were plans for a season 7 or not. The way history talks, they don't really give full details on it. Next up, we've got The New Adventures of Superman. This is one of the first animated shows. Yes, prior to this, we did have some theatrical shorts. I will be getting to that in a minute. But this is season 1. And then we've got seasons 2 and 3 right here. Now, at this particular time, I would have to double check my history, so if anyone wants to fact check me down below, feel free to. But this particular animated series didn't feature just Superman. There were other shorts featuring members of the Justice League, but this was during the time frame when Warner Brothers bought DC Comics, and there was still some red tape, which is why those particular shorts ended up getting their own DVD sets later on down the line. And while we are talking about it, we've got the Superman TV collection. Now, this features quite a bit of stuff. We've got Smallville Season 1. We've got both the 1948 and the 1950 Superman serials. We also have Adventures of Superman Season 1. We've got Max Fleischer's Superman, the first animated superhero thing to ever get released from the 1940s. This also features Volume 1 of Superman the Animated Series, Lois and Clark Season 1, and Season 1 of Smallville. Oh, and the Ruby Spears Superman Animated Series from the 80s. Me personally, the Ruby Spears Superman Animated Series is probably my personal favorite because it stepped away from the over-campiness of Super Friends, but it didn't quite get into that super serious era that we got in the 90s where DC started to fumble with Superman. Next up, Superman the Complete Animated Series. Yes, I'm aware this is part of the DCAU, but I do stand on what I said about the Ruby Spears Superman series being my favorite over this one. I do wish that one got more than 13 episodes, but I am also happy with the 52 episodes we got of this. The next one, which currently is the longest running live action superhero TV show. As far as live action comic book shows, it still has more episodes than The Walking Dead, but The Walking Dead did do 11 seasons, where this one only did 10. But this one has 218 or 219 episodes compared to the 170 something from Walking Dead. Smallville, the complete series. Now this features quite a bit of stuff. It's got all 10 seasons of Smallville in addition to the special features that were on the DVD sets. This also has the Secret Origin documentary, the Aquaman spin-off pilot that they did where they were originally going to introduce Justin Hartley as Aquaman before that didn't happen and they brought him back in to play Green Arrow instead. This also, I believe, features the rare Super Pup pilot. For those that don't know, it is a very, very weird thing they tried to do to keep Superman on TV after George Reeves' death. It was weird. And it also has the Adventures of Superboy pilot. That one I'm not sure which pilot it is for. The next animated thing we got. Again, with Krypto being in the movie, I thought it was only fair to show off Krypto the Superdog, the complete series. This ran for 2 seasons, a total of 39 episodes. Honestly, it's kind of fun. Basically, Krypto gets left behind to watch after a kid. Superman shows up, sees that Krypto is kind of doing the superhero thing with this particular city, thinks it's possibly best to keep Krypto there. But we do get a couple of other super pets in the process. Next one they did was Legion of Superheroes, where Superman shows up in the future. I do have the series, but again, I'm not sure where I had the Blu-ray at. It's probably in storage. The next TV show we got, because of how well received Krypton looked in Man of Steel, Warner Brothers decided to do a Krypton origin show. So we've got Krypton Season 1. In this one, Adam Strange goes to Krypton before its explosion, where we meet the grandfather of Kal-El. So there is Season 1. And we got Season 2. Unfortunately, it aired on cable on a channel that doesn't own Warner Brothers. It's not a WB-owned channel. So it only lasted 2 seasons. And finally, when Supergirl made the jump from CBS to the CW, Warner Brothers knew that there was going to be a decline in ratings because the CW doesn't have the same ratings that CBS has. So to try to lessen the blow, they finally gave Greg Berlanti and company the okay to use Superman. And he showed up in the first 2 episodes of Supergirl Season 2. Tyler Hoechlin was so well received that we finally got a Superman TV series for the first time since Smallville. Superman and Lois Season 1. And I gotta say, Tyler Hoechlin is probably one of, if not my favorite Superman. And I've got Season 2. I do not own Seasons 3 and 4. Season 3, I have not been able to find for a cheap price. Season 4, I did not know come out until I saw the complete series box set on DVD. Alright, like I said, Tyler Hoechlin's probably my favorite live-action Superman. And while I'm not the biggest Smallville fan, Michael Rosenbaum is probably my favorite Lex Luthor. And yes, I'm aware everyone's going to say Christopher Reeve and Gene Hackman or Henry Cavill. I get it. But my personal favorites are actually on the TV shows. Comment down below. Who is your favorite live-action Superman? Who's your favorite live-action Lex Luthor? And are you looking forward to the new Superman movie? Me personally, I'm going in with medium expectations. On one end, I know James Gunn is a huge comic book fan. He did his thing with Guardians. He did his thing with Suicide Squad. He also did his thing with Creature Commandos that came out last year. However, me personally, I think James Gunn works best with the obscure characters. So him working on one of the big ones, one of the biggest characters, the first superhero ever, I don't know how I feel about that because this isn't really his wheelhouse as far as this particular character goes. But I'm willing to give James Gunn a chance because I know he is a fan of the comics. But there is the portion of my Superman TV shows. And that's going to do it for this one. If you are new to this channel, hit that subscribe button. You like what you see, leave a thumbs up. Comment down below. What is your favorite Superman live action movie, animated show, live action TV show, animated movie? What are some of your favorites with the Man of Steel? And are you looking forward to the new Superman movie directed by James Gunn? But that's going to do it for this one. Thank you all for watching and tune in next time.